Hello and welcome, I am Arumba. Thank you for joining me. Let's do another Arumba's Assay. This is going to be a pretty long one, I think. I got a lot to talk about in this save. This comes from a gentleman whose name is Matt, and he is going after the Master of India achievement as France. So, France, very strong country to start with. Pretty good, I guess, country as a European nation. Anyone really can do this achievement, but that's who he's chosen. He says his main problem would be getting into India, which is, of course, the achievement. You have to control, I think, all of India. Other issues are defeating the British as they have colonized islands in the Indian Ocean, taking Canada from the Spanish, and getting more Italian lands. He says that in the beginning of the game, England personally unioned Castile, and they didn't pick exploration ideas until recently. Looks like Castile did break free at one point. They did not get their union over Aragon, I assume, because of that. And so Castile, very late in the game, has taken exploration and expansion. It's kind of different and interesting. He's managed to conquer the entirety of Belgium. He's not going for world conquest. Moved his main trade port to Genoa and has earned more money via trade that way, but he has doubts as if it was the best move to do, if it would be best to move to the English Channel or not. He wants to take some of England, but not, some of Italy, but not Italy. Oh my God. Excuse me. He wanted to take some of Italy, but not England, and he doesn't think that, I don't think it would. That sentence doesn't make sense. That's why I'm messing up. It's not my fault. Having you explain a little bit more on endnotes would be awesome. He wants to know about what idea groups he's picked versus what I would have picked. He's taken Tripoli as a coring subject. Tunisia was conquered, but due to the Berber traditions, he's thinking on outsourcing the coring cost to Tripoli. Catalonia is also another subject. It's someone he considers to be a trading subject. They have an extra merchant on their ideas, but he thinks that this can improve his income both via node and vassal fee. Okay, well I just want to comment on that real quick. It's kind of misleading. The vassal fee, vassal income, this is only based off their actual tax income. So if you have a subject like Catalonia and their income is 6.96 and you have a vassal income of 37%, you get 37% of 6.96. Their trade income and their production income is just theirs, which means that them having a merchant doesn't really affect vassal income at all. Hope that makes sense. All right, so I've got a lot of stuff to talk about. A lot of it's trade related, so this might be one of those episodes where we go 20, 30 minutes without actually even unpausing, but I think you're gonna get a lot of value out of this. So first things first, I'm not gonna talk about trade right away. I'm gonna go just in order that I took my notes because that's kind of how I notice things. Well, we have relatively high income. So the relative cost of a high quality advisor goes down the higher your base income is. We currently have 223 ducats in income, 157.7 ducats in expenses. So we're only spending, as a percentage of our gross income, 11.19 out of 223, which is like 5% of our income. It's nothing. So what that means is that because our income is so strong, we should definitely be running higher level advisors, possibly level 3 or 4, maybe even 5 if we can handle it. But we do want to try to prioritize using half-price advisors where we can. So this guy is a half-price military advisor, which is great. This is a half-price diplomatic advisor. This is a full-price administrative advisor. First thing I'm going to do is we're going to promote this military advisor and promote this guy up a little bit as well. We don't have enough money to do the military one, but we do not want to be paying, like, it's only 6 more ducats, right? And we get 2 more monarch points a month. That's pretty huge. Next thing I notice is that we have really, really good leaders, which is awesome, but that's kind of not something we can do much about at this point. All right, so let's move into trade. We're collecting in Genoa. We have a merchant in Mississippi. We have a merchant in the Cape of Good Hope, Zanzibar, the Ivory Coast, Genoa, the Champagne node, and the Caribbean. We're going to move 3 of these merchants, and I want to try to explain it in a way that is easy to understand and will make a lot of sense. So first thing I'm going to do is just take a snapshot of our income picture right now, so I have that off to the side. Also save it just in case I accidentally close that. One thing we want to do, again, this is not in like order of importance, but just something I noticed, is that you want to sometimes consider taking a 5% trade efficiency hit to embargo somebody if it will make you more money. So in this case, we are not rival to Great Britain. Great Britain is not a valid rival for us. We're rival to Ottomans, Russia, and Ming. So this player has not embargoed anybody. And normally you get that big alert that says, oh no, you have bad trade embargoes, you should cancel them, right? But that doesn't always need to be the case. That's not always true. Sometimes you should just ignore that alert because you'll make more money by doing it otherwise. In this case, Great Britain is stealing a lot of our money. From the Champagne node, he is taking a total, there's 22 ducats going north into the English Channel. Almost all of that is coming from Great Britain with 191 trade power. The Netherlands is using 95. Castile, this I don't understand at all. Castile is using 77, and Castile has no land here, and he's just got his merchant. So he's like brutally massacring his own income. He's collecting 0.11 ducats in that node, destroying his trade power multiplier by collecting in a different node than where he is. I don't know why Castile's doing that. Probably because they may have had the Burgundian inheritance fire or something, and they have these cores up here, so they think they should collect. I don't know. It doesn't make sense. It's a stupid decision by the AI. But even if Castile is doing that, most of the trade power is coming from Great Britain. And so in this case, I would definitely recommend taking a trade efficiency hit of 5% to embargo Great Britain. We're going to lose barely any of the multiplier. We're going to go from, if nothing else changed, 64.39 divided by 1.42, since that's the multiplier, 100% plus 42%, times 1.37, our income would be like 62.12. So for the small price of 2 ducats, we can embargo Great Britain's trade power in this node. And since we have a fairly large percentage, only 33 actually, but since we have a fairly large percentage and Great Britain has not quite as much, we will be able to embargo that value and keep a lot more of that money in this node, which will force it south, and it should make us more money in the long run. So let's go ahead, and first thing we'll do is establish that embargo on Great Britain. Go down to speed 3. There's that costly trade embargoes. Yeah, don't listen to it. It's not correct in this case. Next is that we should use our merchants to prioritize controlling the flow of trade first, boosting the trade value second. What I mean by that is that we have merchants who are doing things that don't really do that much for us. All right, first things first, Zanzibar. Zanzibar has only one outgoing node, which is the Cape of Good Hope node. By putting a merchant here, all we're doing is we're gaining 2 trade power from the merchant being present, and then we are increasing the outgoing trade value by this percent here, 6.2% extra value. See how it says 5.45 ducats is leaving Zanzibar, and then the actual amount turns into 5.79. So by putting a merchant here, we're getting like 0.35 or something trade value, but that's it, right? The money can only go in this way. The 2 merchant trade power is barely anything at all. Like, it doesn't matter. So we're going to move that merchant up to a node up here. We want to prioritize nodes that are inland nodes. They have to have that little inland modifier, because that means that we're going to get the inland bonus of 50 increased trade power from the merchant instead of just 2 on coastal provinces, coastal trade nodes, or non-inland nodes. Beyond that, we also want to sort by the value of the nodes and find the ones that we can control that are going to give us the most value relative to the smallest amount of trade power. The less trade power is in the node relative to the value, the more powerful the merchant is effectively. So basically, without going into all of the nitty-gritty details here, we're going to move 3 of our merchants into these nodes here. We're going to send one to the Rhineland node. We're going to bring him from the not the Ivory Coast, from Zanzibar. We're going to bring one from the Saxony node, which can steer toward Rhineland. Rhineland then goes into the node of Champagne. We're going to bring him from the Cape of Good Hope. Same situation here. We're just boosting outgoing value. Cape of Good Hope, there he is. Takes him 75 days. And then actually, we're going to take our merchant from our capital node as well. We only have 39% trade value in the node of Genoa, which means that we're really kind of low. Our income is 62 ducats a month in trade. 42.36 is the actual amount we're collecting, and then it gets increased by our multipliers: merchant present, technology, entrepreneur, burgers, ahead of time, and diplotech, etc. If we pull this merchant off, we do lose 10%, but it's only 10% of the base, so 10% of 42 ducats. So we lose 4 ducats to pull a merchant off, but we'll gain an extra 10% multiplier by having another merchant steering instead of collecting. We'll use the Genoa merchant as well. We're going to go over to the Wien node. And what that's going to do is, if we look at those nodes, and we look at the value in them, Wien has 30 ducats in it, Saxony has 30 ducats in it, and the Rhineland node has 26 ducats in it. And the relative trade power in these nodes is kind of high in some of them, but this will make us more money than just boosting the trade value in Zanzibar or the Cape of Good Hope. All right, so we're going to try to get a trade income that way. Next, we need to talk about boats. Prioritize boats where you get the most trade power multiplier while there is at least the least amount of trade power in the node. So looking at our ships, we've got a combat fleet, we've got ships that are in Genoa, we got ships that are in the Caribbean, and we have another combat fleet over here, and some ships that are in the Ivory Coast. Real quick, I want to talk about the ships that are in the Ivory Coast. There is no reason to protect trade in a node where 100% of the trade power pulls the trade value forward. It doesn't do anything. Used to be in the past that light ships could propagate trade power upstream. Now that only happens in one age. So these ships doing this here is effectively just a waste of money. We're going to have them go back and protect trade in the Genoa node. Even if it says there's a loss, don't listen to it. It's not always correct. We want to try to get our trade value control in the Genoa node up to about 75% until we start worrying about moving into outside nodes. So we're going to bring those ships back and try to focus on that. Same thing with the Caribbean. When we look at the Caribbean node, the Caribbean has 29 ducats in it. There's a total of 774 trade value or trade power in the node. So taking that number, 29 ducats divided by 774.7 gives us a ratio of like 0.037. And then we have to look at our multiplier in this node. We get 38% increased trade value or trade power from our ships. So that means that if we send a ship here, they're worth about 1.4 ships. Whereas in our home node, we get about 1.73 ships per ship. Does that make sense? So the ships are stronger in our home node. On top of that, when we look at the Genoa node, there's 101.84 with a trade value of 1,380, which gives us a ratio of 0.073. Again, the ratio for the other one was 0.037. So it's just strictly better to protect in the home node than it is to even try to protect in the Caribbean. So we're going to just send them back home as well. On top of that, we have room for a lot more ships. We should be doing that. I'm going to go ahead and queue some up right now. We are picking up new heavies, and we do have new light ships coming out in a couple levels of tech, but I don't care. Just build ships now. It's fine. All right, next note. Least trade power in the node. Relative value of ships goes up as trade power goes down. Talked about that. No reason to protect trade node. Talked about that. Unless you have 75% control, wouldn't recommend sending ships elsewhere in most cases. Talked about that. Okay, that brings us still in the trade topic to the fact that we must murder Castile and Aragon immediately. These guys are massively hampering our income. If we look in the Genoa node, Aragon is making 50 ducats. They're making almost as much as we are. Why? That's stupid. Aragon is weak. Aragon is only allied to Bohemia and Morocco. Like, we could just annihilate these guys. We're going to declare a reconquest war on Alicante and Valencia, like, right now, and get this land out from underneath Aragonese control. Let's get these armies down to that border and get ready for an offensive war. Same thing with Castile, mostly because they're doing that weird collecting from English Channel thing. But if we beat Castile and we demand transfer trade power from them in a peace deal, we can at least negate half of this amount going north, half of that trade power. And then also Castile has a lot of trade value here. 225 of the trade power in this node is owned by Castile. So we can basically take 15% of the money that's in the Sevilla node and force it into Genoa. So we want to do that. We want to attack these guys right away. All right. So that's it for trade for now. Well, no, it's not. There's one more. Transfer trade power costs no relationship slot. So in this, the Diplo macro builder, we can go here and we can see that there are 26 nations that would accept a transfer trade power agreement from us. It costs no relationship slot. So if they're willing to do it, just take it. Just take their trade power. So like Tunis, for example, they don't have a lot of value here, but Tunis is making some money. They're making a small amount. We might as well demand it from them. Steer trade, same thing. Like, if there are nations that could steer trade toward us, we might as well take it. But I'm going to start off by saying, like, any of these people that are in the nodes we're trying to steer from up here, we want to get going with those. So we'll start off with people who are lower on the list, because the more people transfer trade power to you, the less interested they are in receiving a request. So you want to go from the bottom up. In this case, I'm going to go with, we get a transfer trade from Bavaria. Let's do that. 42% of Bavaria's trade power. Bavaria has a lot. They have, like, they're making 2.2 ducats here. They have 82 trade power in this node. Now they're going to give us 42% of that. All right, let's go ahead and let the game run for just a moment. Get these, all these trade power things taken care of. All right, so it takes care of the guy with the estuary there. There's a guy with the estuary here, Frankfurt. He won't do it because he is a He's already giving trade power to somebody else. But really, any of these guys, I would just take the trade power. Salzburg as well, sure, why not? Köln also, there is a node there. We could get the number up higher if we improve relations with them first, but for now I'm just going to take it because it's just a simple way of increasing trade value. Take this guy's value. And then up there, beyond those nodes, I wouldn't worry about those. This guy, though, we will also take, yes. He is partially in our trade node. Royal marriage offer from Catalonia, our subject. I'm going to take this, and this is actually kind of a good thing. It's going to lower our legitimacy. That's something we're going to talk about soon. Same thing with this. We actually want to lower our legitimacy because boosting the strength of the government increases absolutism by 2. You can't click it when you're maxed out on legitimacy, though, and we trend upward. So, all right, we're done talking about trade power. We do want to embargo our rivals for power projection and insult rivals that we have no truce with to get 5 power projection, even though they are too far away for us to actually like do anything to. We just want to embargo them strictly for that purpose. So like Ottomans, we will issue an embargo on, and Russia. See how trade power is going up slightly, and then Ming. I mean, I don't know why we're rival to Ming. You should try to avoid rivaling people that you can't actually do anything to. Get one more about the spy tick on Castile. Let's go up to speed 4. Embargo Ming. Prince of the People. Okay, we don't really need the negative unrest. I mean, that's kind of unfortunate that we're getting that stuff there, but whatever. All right. Okay, so that's power projection, and then also we should insult rivals that we have no truce with. So somebody like, say, the Ottomans, who I don't plan on attacking just now. Notice how we don't actually have any modifier to power projection from insulted arrival. We're going to wait until we're allowed to interact with this guy again. And send him an insult just so that we stay above 50 power projection for as long as possible for the extra monarch point generation. Okay, I'm going to keep going for a few more minutes, but then we got to take a break because this is going to take way too long. I don't want this to be like a 50-minute video. No to the no. All right, next up, we have a lot of missions that are easy to achieve right now. We have done a lot of them, but we apparently have never built to our force limit, which we can do easily. We have not achieved this mission, therefore, which we can do. We already accomplished it, already accomplished it. Unite the home region only requires us to conquer these 2 provinces, and this guy is already in a personal union under us, and he's been in a personal union long enough that we could integrate him. There is a 9% chance we could successfully integrate him, inherit him on our monarch death, but since he's so small and the integration cost would be so slight, I would just probably integrate him directly myself. Lorraine is worth, what, 78 base? Yeah, it's fine. Not to mention French ideas, I believe, have diplomatic integration cost discount, don't they? No, they don't. Maybe that was in the past, I'm not sure. Anyway, let's improve relations with Lorraine so we can actually start that integration. We're going to fabricate a little bit on Mr. Castile so that we can declare a war on him as well. I don't even care what it is, we just want to have a justification for going to war. Do we have any states in this area? No. It's not going to be an accepted culture, that's fine. Where does he have forts? Just the basic level 1 fort. My god, this guy's weak. Let's take claims on the coastline, let's take claims on this and this. He had a maxed out spy network, so I'm sure he was considering it, but... Okay, we have no leaders. Don't really know how that happened, but okay. We have 52 army tradition, which is kind of okay. All right, so we've talked about some of the missions. There's more missions, though. We can do basically this whole chain if we integrate Lorraine. We can also do colonial expansion. We just need to complete the mission Bases in North America, which requires France or their subjects to have at least 5 fully colonized provinces in colonial Caribbean. That is easy to accomplish, and that gives us a bunch of other stuff as well. So, looking in the colonial and trade region here, we have 4 provinces right now. We have 1 here, which counts. We have 1 here. So 1, 2, 3, 4. There are, I believe, no other colonial... Actually, that is part of colonial, and we are apparently on our way to colonize... Nope, that's Great Britain. Okay. So basically, we need to just attack someone that owns land in this area. Unfortunately, we're allied to Portugal, and Portugal is the person who's colonized this for the most part. So what we're going to do is we're going to attack Great Britain at some point in the future and then take the Turk Islands, which will give us our 5th province. Since there's no fort here, we can just demand it as part of the peace deal, pay a few diplo points, take it, and achieve that mission. Right, and then that's pretty much it for missions, I believe. Annexing Savoy would require us to fight the Emperor, which, I mean, it's fine. Austria's still the Emperor. He's kind of strong-ish. He's only passed 1 reform, though. So that's that. Okay, subjects making money is bad. You should make the money yourself, and then give them the money via subsidies if you want them to build an army. So looking at our subjects, we've got our colonial nations, which we can't really influence too much. Tripoli is not making much money. Catalonia, though, is making 8 ducats a month. And Catalonia, while it's nice for them to have an army, them making money, again, it's kind of bad. We want the money. So we should turn on, in Catalonia, transfer trade. Divert trade, take all of their money. And now Catalonia's income is going to go from that 13.4 ducats, 13.8 ducats is going to become our money. And then if we want him to have it back, we just subsidize him so that he'll keep his army. But don't let him make the money. You should make the money. If there's any way that you can control the income, you should do it. Also, let's go ahead and tell every subject to be focused on sieges. And then with Lorraine, Lorraine is the personal union. Lorraine is in part of our node. Lorraine is stealing some of our money. Lorraine's making 5 ducats a month in the node we're trying to steer into Genoa. So, like, Lorraine, like, you should not do that. This is another reason to try to integrate them. We can't actually transfer trade with this guy because he's a union, but support loyalists, enable embargo rivals, enable support loyalists. So for 1.8 ducats, we can lower the liberty desire by 20%. Siphon income costs 10% liberty desire. Might as well siphon their income as many times as we're allowed. That was a bad idea. That just made them dislike us, and I want to integrate them. Well, it comes back at 16 per year, and it's going to take time to improve relations anyways. It's not a big deal. Can we do Influence Nation on this guy? Just turn right around and spend the money on him. Alright, that's fine. Okay, always use all of your state slots. You'll make more money, even if they are not fully core provinces. We have a ridiculous amount of state slots that are open. There are 14 states not used, while we have 22 territories. This alert is telling us that places like Tunisia, Flanders, Piedmont, West Florida, these places would all make us more money if they were stated. We're making 1.16 here. We go ahead and turn that on. We're going to lose some money due to the state maintenance, but we can also build up prosperity. And then after a couple of days, or 1 month, when the income updates from the reduction, notice how it shows like we're making 0.32. And see how the tooltip still says local autonomy further modifies this by negative 75%, even though the autonomy is actually at 50% now. So that means that this is going to double. Whatever number is here will double. So we're actually going to make more than it says, like 3.2 ducats at a cost of 0.7. See how overall the number is much higher. So we're going to turn on states in these other locations. And again, you don't have to core the land. You should just state the land so that you get the benefit out of it. Okay, we still have Djerba. Let's just go to Piedmont. Yeah, even this one I would state. Now with these, like we're trying to colonize here, and this is part of a different colonial region. So you might be tempted to like just wait until you have the 5 provinces so you can get a colonial nation to spawn. But the thing is that you have a territorial core already. You might as well, again, state it so that you get 50% autonomy, which increases production and all that other stuff. And then when it becomes a colonial nation, it's fine. You don't have to core this land fully, you just ignore it. There's just really no reason to not use your state slots. Okay, with that said, it's been almost 25 minutes. I'm gonna take a short break here, and in the next episode, we will go into some more detail, play a little bit, and see how some of these changes have affected income and economy. So, all right, I'll see you guys in the next episode. Thank you for watching. See you soon.